The message you're about to hear will position you to live life to the fullest with actionable insights and strategies. Now, Abrahamowoseni.
Caption the architecture of goals, and let me just move in straight to my slides here. Now, so the goal of all we are trying to do is simple. We're trying to see how we can increase our capacity. I think I already shared on that. How we can increase our capacity on goal setting and achievement for personal and corporate productivity. This is one skill that is not just going to help as an individual. It's a skill that is also going to help even in our corporate engagements, across the value chain. Now, let me begin by saying this: that nothing happens by itself, right? Nothing happens in itself by itself. So for example, I can't be on this particular bus stop, right, and suddenly happen to be on the next three bus stops without moving, right? And so life is a journey, but as we are moving along the journey of life, I can't just change level or change milestone by accident. Nothing happens by chance, right? So I make motion. I change my mileage by intention, right? So nothing happens in itself by itself. So in the journey of life, as we are all making motion, we are moving, we are making great stride. This is one reminder that comes to our mind, that nothing happens in itself by itself. There's always something propelling a force, right? Newton puts it this way, that a body will remain in a state of motion until someone either comes to push it or someone comes to pull it before it goes away from that statutory position, right? So nothing happens in itself by itself. So that's the whole context of trying to increase our skill or our competency on goals, trying to find something that can push us more. Yes, we have started the race of this new year or any other time, but what can push us more to accelerate beyond just starting a race? That's all that we're trying to do, right? And the context of life as well is that, yes, life is a playing field. We're all playing in the field of life, but we can only have goals if we have visions, right? I know most times, especially at the beginning of a year, there's always a trending buzz about goals and goals and goals and goals. And perhaps, maybe some persons also have that bias to this session. It only happens accidentally that we're having this session at this part of this year. It could be at the mid part of this year. It could be just at any other time, right? But a person can only have a goal if the person has a vision, right? So, I'm saying this is where I'm going to, and then this is what I need to get there. So God gives us a reload of opportunity every now and then. This reload of opportunity is what we call time. And so God gives us a reload of opportunity because the goals are like milestones on our vision. And so this reload comes in form of a time. It can come in form of a year. So God gives us 365 brand new days. That's a reload of time. In a day, God gives us 24 hours. He reloads it the next day. And then again in a week, God gives us 7 days. He reloads it again. And so every point in time, we have this currency to use. The currency is it's like being reloaded. It's being reloaded every point in time. But the currency cannot do anything on its own. It's fluid. What the currency does is what we have defined to do with the currency. And that's where goals come in. Goals are the milestones of a vision, right? So we're not overflogging it about goals and goals and goals. All we're saying is that we already have a vision before this new year began. We have a vision before, even now. All we are saying is, what milestone in our grand vision for life can we achieve? Can God help us with in this year? That's all that is being, the focus, right? So, in 2011, I was praying and I was just asking God, right? I'm going to share along using a blend of life coaching and spirituality, right? I'm going to share with us some questions as we get along that will help us bring out some answers that is already inside of us, and of course, for us to think, even from our spirit, right? So I was just thinking, I knew that there was more to my life. Yes, I was a first class graduate, smart, bright, but I knew that beyond just using my sense, I needed something thicker, something, a force to push me for life, a force to push me across my career, my relationship, my lifestyle. All right. So, but I just couldn't find that, enthusiastic force. And so I went to God to pray. And the episode of that inquiry opened me up to my destination, right? Because a vision is simply a picture of God's destiny, right? It's a vision because it's now seen. A vision is not any big word or ambiguous word. A vision is simply, can you see what God wants you to do about life? That's why it's vision. And so God said to me from that prayer, I was on a fast for 3 days. Okay, great. I'm sending to young people, still in the art, the fear of God, do this, do that. Now, so the bottom line of that encounter in that particular year gave me a big vision for life. So I could see, okay, so what do I see? I saw myself raising young people. What do I see? I saw myself molding minds. And I crafted that out as a vision statement for my life, raising young people and molding lives, right? Now, in the context of every opportunity God reloads, either the reload is a week, either the reload is a day, either the reload is a time or a year, like we said. The question I'm now asking myself is, okay, so what can I use this time for? God has given us a brand new year, for example. Now, in this context, it could be a brand new week, it could be a brand new month, right? But what can I do with this year? What can I do with this month in the context of the vision God has given to me? Because the goals are simply milestones. They're like phases in the grand vision. A year does not infuse vision. A month does not infuse vision. A week does not infuse vision. Some people get into the week and say, oh, Monday motivation. The Monday does not infuse motivation. The Friday also does not deplete motivation. All that is all about perspective, right? They are not doing anything of their own, right? We give the motivation to the day, we give the vision to the year, we give the motivation to the hours, and we make the hours to count. And that is the whole context of our goals come into play, right? Now, so all we're trying to do is a revision. Just like the way a teacher comes to class and say, oh, well, we're trying to revise what we have done this term. We have done X, Y, Z, and Z. So where are we? Where do we need to get to? Are you ready for the exams? So all we are trying to do is we are revisiting our visions. And so it's assumed already that we found a budding vision for life. And all we're trying to do right now is that we are just revisiting it and seeing what can we do better. What can we do to make it better? That's all we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to do, right? And so that's the context of the vision. All we're trying to do is, how can this be better? How can we do it better? And we're asking ourselves salient questions. For example, where am I going to in life? Where am I going to in life? Right? We're revisiting the vision. We're asking questions like, okay, where am I now? And I'm writing, and I want you to take down these questions right now. Where are you going to in life? All we're doing right now is revisiting our visions. Where are you going to in life? Take a note of this right now. Number two, where am I now? Where am I now? In the context of where I'm going to, where am I now? No matter how enjoyable a ride is, even if I'm traveling for hours, as long as you can't measure where you are, there's this dissatisfaction and an anxiety that rises up within. And someone calls and say, where are you now? You say, I don't even know where I am. There's been traffic, there's been this. You say, where are you now? Okay, well, I'm 1 hour close by. Oh, I'm 30 minutes close by. Then you begin to know, okay, I'm getting closer. And so, even though the journey is good, I hear people say, well, enjoy the journey. Yes, it's good. You're going to enjoy the journey. But as you enjoy the journey, we still need to know, where am I now? And the third question I want to ask you right now is, what goals can you have to move you forward towards your vision at this time? What goals can you have to move you forward towards a vision at this time? What goals can you have to move you forward towards a vision at this time? These are critical questions that will help us in revisiting our visions, right? And wherever you are in this value chain, it's fine. Perhaps you have not found, an emphatic vision, a grand vision for life. That is why we're on this call. Or perhaps you're not even sure if that is where you're going to. Where you're going to is actually where you're going to. Or you have, but the journey has not been very definite and there's been aphasia. It's great. The point is, knowing where we are helps us to change level to where we're going to, right? Socrates says, man, know thyself. That's the beginning, right? Awareness. Awareness. This is amazing, right? Let me say this ahead. We're going to break this into two parts. I'm going to do a first part, and then we're going to have a water break. In the next 15 minutes thereabout, and then after a 3 minutes water break, we come and then we tie this up. Right now, let me go to this. So the question is this: if we understand all of this, why is it that some people achieve their goals and others don't? Right? I mean, that's a major food for thought. So why is it that some people achieve their goals and others don't? That's what we're trying to unravel. There is a whole lot of in-betweens. So let me show three scenarios, for example. Some people's goals, their goals fall off along the way, literally, right? They had said, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm desiring, right? Because a goal is a desire, but along the way, the desire falls off. The goals, they can't find them again, right? For some other people, I mean, the goal is there, but the struggle is much. They are struggling to pull the goal through, right? I mean, it's not seamless. All we're trying to do, in this training is that how can you design, develop, and live out your goals seamlessly? Seamlessly. That's the action word there. And for some other people, the goal is well aligned, well anchored, and seamlessly achieved. What is the differing, indicator in all of these scenarios? What makes a person achieve A, another person B, another person C? What is it? That's what we want to know, right? I like the way Acts chapter 10, verse 34 puts it, right? Because I try to ask God, are you a partial God? Do some people achieve their goals and you don't make some other people achieve theirs? And God said, no, I'm not partial. Now, I know for certain that God does not show favoritism. Wow. With people, but He treats everyone on the same basis. This is amazing. God does not show favoritism. He treats everyone on the same basis. Right? Wow. When I found this scripture in my journey, it brought a whole lot of clarity to my experience that, hey, it's not about color, it's not about height, it's not about status, it's not about location. God is no respecter of persons. Wow. So what does He respect? So there's a whole lot of in-betweens that God respects, even with regards to goals. Let's flash our minds back to this. So there was a time the earth was without form. The earth was literally without form. And then a time came where God now said, let there be. And so God created things, right? And so you can look at I'm showing you the context of architecture in all of this, right? Yes, I think I have a bias to architecture because I have a professional background in architecture, right? But I'm showing you how God in his almightiness, designed the whole universe. There was a time the whole universe was nothing. The earth was without form and void. But God said, let there be this, let it be that. And so there was creation. Watch that. Now, a time came when God was done in all of that, and guess what He said? He said, He looked at everything and He said, this is good. And so when you look at architecture in itself also, there's a whole lot about goals that it's the in-between. People hardly talk about them. And so even if, for example, if you have done some stuff with physical development, buildings and all of that, you know how how demanding it is to put up a physical edifice, right? From the first time you're meeting the architects, they're working on the design, and from then they're doing the construction drawings, getting development permits, they're getting the contract document, they're moving to site, they're supervising the construction, they're monitoring the development, they're managing it through, and eventually when they are done with the project, that's a whole lot in between. And so, what is this architecture of goals all about? What is it all about? Right? And this architecture is not about who we are, or perhaps, or what we have, because God does it in such a way that He says, I don't respect anybody. So what does He respect? Ecclesiastes says, well, it is not even the fastest that always win. Wow. Oh, so it's not even about strength. It's not even about the one who has, the biggest amount of money. It's not even the strongest warrior that wins. Hey, it's not even the wise. It's not even, look at it, it goes on and on. It's not even the skillful. So it's not even about your skill. Achieving your goals is not even about all of this. He says, even those who are educated don't lead successful lives. Wow. I mean, these scriptures like these, bring up a kind of a reset that, okay, so what then does God respect? What is that thing God honors in achieving our goals, right? And that's where this is right now. This is the crux of this. Who is excited about this? Who is excited about this? The question is, how then? Who is excited about this? Who is excited about this? Right? How then? How then? Now, so I want to share with us three dimensions that will help us, to design our goals, to develop them, and to live them out seamlessly. These three dimensions will help us to design our goals, right? Develop them and live them out seamlessly, right? This is amazing. This is amazing, right? I want you to go along with me, right? Before we go on our first water break. Now, these three dimensions I want to share are in line with the tripartite makeup of man, right? Man is a spirit, right? He has a soul, and then he lives in a body. If we were to remain in heaven, we wouldn't need a body, right? So when a person dies, his body goes to the grave, but the spirit goes back. The spirit was what God created, right? But because, again, when God sent us to the earth, we needed a legal access to the earth, which is what our body gives us. But again, for us to relate with people on the earth, for us to reason, for us to make decisions, God added a middleman, an intermediary, right, which is the soul. How then does this play out in achieving our goals? This is how it plays out. Look at this, right? So this is what happens, right? So what happens first is that you design your goals in your spirit because you are primarily a spirit being. Right? I call that mapping. You map out your goals in your spirit. Right? Next step is that you now develop the goals in your soul. That's where you do a lot of molding, giving your goals form. Right? The third part of this architecture is where you eventually live out your goals. And that takes place in the physical body. So that's where you are literally moving. Right? You start from designing the goal in your spirit. You flesh it up and mold it in your soul, developing it, and then you live it out in your body. This is amazing, right? Let's look at this, specifically. Now, let me flash our memory back to, construction and building design and all of that. So a client comes to an architect and says, well, oh, Mr. Architect, I want this design. I want to do a development in 2021, in 2022. It's going to be a blah. This is what I want. And this X, Y, Z is located here. This is the site, this is the survey, and all of that, right? A typical client, client meeting with an architect, right? And then, the architect listens carefully to everything this client is saying, taking down the brief. Okay. So, and he's asking questions. They're discussing and deliberating about this fantastic brief. This is amazing. That is the beginning of designing our goals. Now, so look at what God is saying right now. Now, God, the creator and the architect of the whole universe, is saying to you and I, come, let us reason together. Come, let us reason together. Come. God is saying, hey, just like you will go to a physical architect, now you come to me. I'm the creator of the universe. Come to me. Let us discuss together. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Okay, now I've given you a rollover of 365 days. I've given you a rollover of 24 hours. I've given you a rollover of 7 days. I've given you a rollover of whatever time in that context you are setting that goal is. God is now saying, come, what do you really want? It goes further by saying, James 4:3 puts it this way, that you do not have because you do not ask. What do you want? What do you want? And sometimes, even when we ask, James puts it this way, he says, we ask with the wrong motive. Right? So most times people copy goals. Oh, because X is doing this, I think I should do it. Or because X has moved to his house, I should also move. Or because Y is doing this, I should do this. Or because Z is traveling here, I should travel here. But with the wrong motive. God says, map your goals first in your spirit. Come to me. And God doesn't relate to it. What God relates with is our spirit man. That's our own connection to God. Come, right? Let us reason together. I like the way the encounter Saul also had. He never knew what to do. And all he did was simple. He said, Lord, what will you have me do? Acts chapter 9, verse 6. Lord, what will you have me do? He was going haywire, doing all the things he could, copying people, just comparing lives with social media, doing all kind. And he came to this, he was already abusing Christians, doing everything he was doing. And on this particular day, all he said was, Lord, what will you have me do? And that was the day he had a major goal for his life. What will you have me do? What will you have me do? And so we're not mapping our goals just because of what society is saying or what we are going to the core of our being, our essence. What is God saying for this year? What is God saying for this month? The rollover God has given to you. What is God saying for this week? What is God saying for this day? Lord, what will you have me do? Come, let us reason together. And when you look at it, the architect does not go, even when the physical client meets the architect does not just go and copy a design and say, well, take this. No, the architect sits down, maps out based on the design based on the needs of the client, based on what the client said, based on everything. He maps it through, and then, he presents a compelling design. And so the goal God has for you is not the same with another person. It's unique to your vision. It's unique to where He's taking you to. It's unique to everything about your being. Perfectly unique. Perfectly unique. This is amazing. This is amazing. Right? This is amazing. I just know right now that God is ministering to us as we're getting along this session, where they can direct striking actions on how to architecture our goals from our spirit. This is how it works, right? This is how it works. Now, look at what God said in Genesis 21, verse 1. This is an amazing scripture. He said, God visited Sarah as He had said. As He had said. And so the visitation was not just because of what A said or what B said. What has God said to you? What has God said to you as a person? What has God said to you? What has God said to you? Right? And so I'm mapping in my spirit, I'm praying in the Holy Ghost, I'm praying and asking, Lord, what will you have me do? What will you have me do? I'm sitting and I'm just breathing in my spirit and saying, Lord, thank you for a blessing of a new year. Thank you for the blessing of a new week. Thank you for the blessing of a new month, for this rollover you have given to me. But what will you have me do? Teach me to number my days. Teach me to make this rollover count. What will you have me do? Because the visitation is tied to what God has said, right? And so I call that approach clipping your goals. That's how to clip your goals. So for some other people, their goals fall off because it was not clipped. It was not clipped and mapped in the spirit. It was not clipped and mapped in the spirit, right? Let me end this first part of designing before we move to development. After a water break, we're going to come back to development. Designing your goals. So in designing the goals, you are defining it with the right motive, right? You are designing the goal with the right motive. You are ensuring that this goal is congruent to your vision. So I'm asking myself, well, this is my vision, raising young people and molding minds. If I'm to do this, does it help me to raise young people? Does it help me to mold minds in congruent to my vision? And of course, I'm drawing it from my spirit. This is amazing, right? After designing the goal, what next? After designing the goal, what next? Right? After designing the goal, what next? So yes, the goal has been designed. It's mapped from the spirit. Yes, it has the right motive. What next? Right? Now, this is the next stage. Where all we're trying to do is how to design, develop, and live out our goals seamlessly. And so developing is actually the core part where there's a whole lot of work. Now, so this is where the major changes, and most people try to avoid work. Anything that has to do with so much work, everybody goes out from it, right? And so this is the major part that actually determines whether you're going to live out your goals or not. This is the major part. This is the major part, right? And in doing this, really, the question is, how do we realize and construct our goals, right? So like the example we cited earlier on, the architect has done a fantastic design. The client has met the architect and they've had a good brief. And then the question now is, how do we turn this into real life stuff? That's the question. How do we turn this to real life stuff? Now, the whole equation about this is that you don't begin until you count the cost, right? So we don't begin until we count the cost. So for example, After they've done the design, the next thing would be, well, okay, so how much would this cost? Okay, so how long would this take? And all of those in betweens. But let's take each one through and apply that to how we can develop our goals, right? This would be amazing. Now, so for example, like we shared, we've mapped the goal. God said it, but have you developed enough capacity for what He said? God said it, great, but have you developed enough capacity for what He said? Right now, so in developing capacity, there's a whole lot to this. I mean, I'm a top advocate of this. I believe that the core of our skills will be the mind skills, even the ones people can't see physically, right? So, of course, in today's world, we are seeing it that even as good as our technical skills could be, they could be replaced. They could be done by machines, AIs, robots, and all of that. But the mind skills is what we still need humans to do, right? And so most times I always say that the mindset is a core part of our skill set, the mindset. Now, in developing our goals, this is where major work has to be done. Why? The reason is 5% of our actions, our behaviors, our decisions, the person we call. Tomorrow you're going to make a call to person. That person you're going to call, the paper you're going to write, the mail you're going to send, the person you're going to chat with, and everything that is going to happen tomorrow, the 5% of everything will only be things you are conscious about. 95 of them will happen because you didn't even know you were to do it. Let me explain that further. So, this concept of success as an iceberg is something that that paints it in a more visual way, right? So the part people can see is just the 5%. 95% of that other equation, people can't see it. And so people can't see now that you're spending time on this call. People can't see how you are spending time to give form to your goals. People just see that, oh, well, you appear, they just see a mail. What led to that mail? Who said you should send the mail? How did you know what mail to send? I'm using that as an example right now. How do you know and all of those in between? So it's just like a potter trying to mold a form, spending time to mold the form, right? And so we are giving form to our vision, to our goals, right? Now, so this is explaining this basic, concise way to develop our goals. One, we write and we vocalize them, right? From writing and vocalizing them, we take them on to the next level, believing them and thinking about them. We take it out to the next level, planning them. Imagine them and visualizing them and then planning them. But let's take each one so that we can be practical. Now, how do we write the goals? Go back to the illustration I was sharing earlier on. So even when the architect has said, well, I've done a fantastic design, client A, Mr. A, Mrs. B, but the architect doesn't say, well, this design is in my mind. Yeah, this is how it will look. The client is saying, hey, please, how will this look? I need to have an understanding of how this design will look. The architect does not say, well, you don't need to, you can't see it. I'm the only one that can see. No. Guess what the architect does? The architect goes further to document the entire design he has conceived for that particular brief. It documents them down in drawings, in construction, documentations that every other person can relate with. And so there is the science of writing down your goals, right? So he writes it down and everybody can see it, right? Yes, God will say to me, like Habakkuk said, I will wait to see what He will say. While I'm waiting and I've waited in my spirit, God has spoken to me. What will I now do next? I will write down what He says. I will write down what He says so that every other person can run with it. Every other person is not necessarily about other people physically. It could be that other parts of my tripartite being can run with it. My mind can see it. My body can see it, right? It's now written down, right? So although the architect conceived the dream of the design, right, it still goes further to bat it by writing it down, presenting it down, in plain ways people can see. That's the language. But there's a language to doing this. I'm going to give us an example. It's not just by saying, well, God said I should do this, or yes, I want this, but how do you put it to context? I'm going to give us a formula. This formula will help in achieving how to write a goal that can be achieved. And this formula is simple. In writing this formula, you start by writing this goal in an achieved state already, right? Now, all we are trying to do in developing our goal is that we are working on our soul. especially our mind. We have left the spirit right now. Now we're in the middleman. The middleman is the soul. The soul says, if this goal does not pass through me, it can never get fulfilled in the body. If this goal is not satisfied by me, it can't get to the next level. And so, although we have mapped the goal from the spirit, this middleman here is just here. He says, if it doesn't pass, just like some humans act as gatekeepers, if it doesn't pass, it won't get to the next door. And so, there's a way to writing it. And so, here's this formula I gave. You start with using words like this. It is now. It is now. So put a date there, for example. What the date you are envisioning to achieving that goal, it is now. Next step is try to describe the outcome you now desire. It is now. I am in, or I am at, or I am with. Put the action there. Put the goal there. Right? I want you to write this formula down, and then I want you to operationalize it if you can, just about now. And then I'm going to give an example shortly. I'm just going to use a random example. And then third thing is that don't just stop there. Describe the experience and the fulfillment of that achieved goal. I remember when my wife and I were waiting for our first seed, our son, and we had said, well, God, you said you're going to give us godly seed. We have mapped that in our spirit, no doubt. Great. Next is to mold it and develop it in our soul. And so what do? One of the steps, like we're sharing right now, is to write this goal down. And so we say, okay, great. When are we trusting God for this seed? It is now. Now, so if, for example, I'm saying that, I'm expecting this godly seed at so day, it is now the 28th of September 2021. I am at the christening of, put his name there, put a name there, put the names of the children there, right? Next, go on to now describe it. I'm seated beside my wife, putting on so and so and so. You are trying to describe the experience. What is the fulfillment? The pastor just called us forth to pray for our godly seed. I'm about to pick the mic right now to pray for our son. My wife and I are standing beside my son. My parents are flanked on my left, and my parents on my right. I'm so grateful to God, and we are grateful for this gift. How do you see that? How do you see that old language of writing a goal? It is now. Describe the scene. Put it in action form. Put it as if it has been achieved. This is the language of writing our goals, right? Now, let me move quickly on this. The next thing about just, beyond just writing the goal is believing the goal, right? Believing the goal, right? You believe, there's a whole lot to this, really. I know, Mr. Ade has done a whole lot of extensive work talking about neuroscience and all, but I won't go too deep into that. But from scriptures, one of the things we understand is that scripture tells us that blessed is she that believes. Why? Because there is a performance for those who believe. So although God said it, but if I don't believe, there's no performance yet. I become what I believe. How do I believe it? I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about it. And it's a rule of thumb whereby scripture says, well, there's no fight to this thing. As you think, so you become. As you think, so you become. It's not a fight. And I paraphrase it saying, as you continue to think about your goal, so will it be achieved. You continue to think about your goal. Yes, you have written the goal down in how it should be written. You are developing the goal right now. Next up is that now you are saying, hey, well, I believe this goal. Irrespective of the odds, I believe this goal. Number one, you can't even believe it if it was just something ephemeral. It's something you mapped from the spirit, right? So you can believe God to his word, right? But it doesn't end here, so we don't just sound religious. Next up is that you begin to imagine the goal, right? And so I used to say, everything happens thrice. First in the spirit, then in the mind, and then in the body. It's just like a soft copy. You're trying to do a document. You have typed out this fantastic proposal, and that's a soft copy. But if someone says, well, I don't believe what you have done, you're saying, I've done this soft copy. This is this job. I've done it already. But he says, are you sure? And then all you just have to do is print the document, and the soft copy becomes the hard copy. Wow. who would have believed a soft copy would just become a hard copy? Why? Because it was already imagined and visualized. Your imagination is like the software of the universe. That's what you use to provide. You push soft copy from your mind through the hard copy in the physical. Right? So everything. So to increase your visualization, you are trying to boost your visualization. That's the context of boards, images or mobiles. So try to it's relative to you. What works for you? Trying to put up some mobiles, on your rooms, mobiles in the car, mobiles in the office, boards, whatever works for you, screensaver, what works for you that boosts your visualization. That's what works for you, right? That's how to boost the visualization. It grows from writing that goal down, right? You take it on to believing it deeply, and guess what? You are the primary believer of your goal. And then next up into visualization. Now, this last part of developing is a major part also that is always skipped. But before I say that part, let me say this. The subconscious mind does not know whether what has been imagined is real or not. Everything the mind imagines, it believes that it is true. That is why scripture admonishes us that even when we have negative imagination, it tells us a formula. What does it say? It says, cast down every imagination and everything that raises itself against the knowledge of God. So even when a thought comes against, contrary to your goal, what do? Cast it down, rebuke it in the name of the Lord, right? Because the mind does not believe whether it is true or not. Whatever you conceive in the mind, it will be achieved. As long as you keep thinking about it, it will form a cloth, it will form a body, it will now physically have a form, and it happens in the physical, right? So it's about your decision right now, right? So you're spending time to see your goals first in your mind. One of my mentors said, if you can't see with your eyes closed, you can't see it with your eyes opened. You must foresee spending time to do all of this development. I mean, you imagine what it takes even after the architect had designed this building. Who would have thought? Yes, you have designed this building, but it doesn't end there. They spend time to say, okay, we need to now make it all through. They spend time on the bills of quantity. They will spend time on the architectural drawings, the structural drawings. They do all of that. They take it on to the development permit office. They give the permit. They go to. I mean, there's a whole lot they do in between. They assign a contractor. They present the bill. There's a whole lot that goes into that. There's a whole lot. Now, this last part is the strategy. The strategy. After they've done all of that, they don't end it there, right? They don't end it there, because a goal without a plan is a mere wish, right? A goal without a plan is a mere wish. Strategy is about the plan. And so guess what happens? Once they've approved the contractor presents what is called a bill, a work schedule. The contractor says, well, this project is going to cost XYZ, and that will take so weeks, right? In week 1, we're going to do this. In week 2, we're going to do this, right? All we're trying to do is trying to break this goal down into milestone. Although this is a goal that was first designed, it looked beautiful. Everybody can see this is how it will be finished. The client is even showing everybody the 3D. This is how my building will be. Hey. But that doesn't mean the building will be. If they don't spend time to develop it through, so they get onto site, right? Developing it through. Developers are working, right? They are working with the schedule, although they are seeing the visual, they are seeing the vision board. But as they are seeing the vision board, they are also spending time in strategy, right? Now, let me break this down some more so that we can know the specific areas of strategy to spend in. Whatever goal you have mapped in your spirit, ask yourself, what education do I need to achieve this goal? So it could be a skill you need to achieve personally, a skill you need to acquire personally. It could be your personal development effort, right? That's a form of a strategy. Okay, so God has said this. How do I build my capacity in this? That's skill, that's education. It could be in form of environment. Oh, God has said this. I have seen it in my mind. I have developed it in my mind. But what else? What association do I need? What affiliations do I need? Who do I need to work with? Exposure. Exposure talks about people, mentors, coaches, accountability partners. I'm exposing myself to people who are on a similar call like we are right now. They have this similar mindset like we're having right now on this call. I'm exposing myself to people like that. And of course, the last part of strategy is what I call routine. Routine now talks about what will I be doing daily, weekly. The secret is in the routine. I want to write a book, fantastic. I'm writing a note from that book every day. Routine. I remember when I was writing my first book in 2014, every single day I was up on my dining table. That was my routine for that year. By the 10th month of that year, the book was out. It was just a routine. There was no ambiguity to it. The secret is in the routine. I was sitting up, whether I write 3 pages, 4 pages, that's not the issue, but I must sit up on that table every day. And I was just writing. It was not even a digital. I was writing it out manually first, even before it was digitized and all of that. Routine. The secret is in the routine. What you're doing daily, weekly, or monthly. So look at this strategy. This will help, right? Now, let me close this up, with the last part. Again, it's good we say this, that whilst all we have shared is amazing and good, it's not just about the goals we achieve, but who we become in the process. You can agree that you will not be the same person that started up, even when you started, you set out to achieve that goal. You would have evolved in mileage, involved in skill, in exposure, in experience, name it, right? Now, I haven't said that. This is the last part, living out your goals, right? And when you look at it really, why is it called goals? It's called goals because we still must go. Think about it. It's called goals because we still must go, right? So what goes? What goes now is our physical body. We have certified the spirit. The soul has given us an approval, right? Say, checked, get on. It passes the baton on to the body. Now the body takes it on and executes execution. That's where we go, right? The other day I was on the court. I was playing badminton, and then just dawned on me that as the shuttle was coming, I still needed to focus to hit the shuttle with my racket in order for me to be able to hit the goal, right? Although I was moving with my body, but it's not just about any kind of movement. This kind of movement is what we call focused action. I was moving my body in the direction of the shuttle, right? Focused action, right? So I know in today's world, people say, well, I'm busy. But when you look at it really, you find that the busyness is not actually that they're actually busy towards their goal, but they were occupied with other things. But we're saying now, the kind of actions we are taking is focused action. Focused action. Focused action. Wow, this is amazing. I'm going to end with this. Some people say, well, what will be, will be. But I beg to disagree. What will be, will not be. What you do will be, right? All the body is now set to do is to live it out. The main work has been done from the spirit and the soul. That is why the combination of that is 95%. All the body is doing the 5%. The main work has been done from those other two compartments, right? This is amazing. Look at this. Even when opportunity comes, imagine you are home, someone knocks the door. What will you do? You still have to stand up and open the door. That's action. So even when God brings the opportunity, that scripture in Ecclesiastes was saying time and chance. Even when time and chance comes, are you already on the dance floor, ready to take the opportunity when it comes? That's how it works, right? That's how it works. So all we have shared is not just about to fuse about goals or just get ourselves started or excited about goals. No. All we're trying to do is just revisiting our visions with the opportunity that God has given us, a new rollover of time, of opportunity, of gifts, of months, of years. And then we're now saying, well, I want to begin my goal with a new mindset right now. I've been able to upskill this life skill called goal setting and achievement, right? And then I've been able to see how I can achieve my goal beginning with a destination in mind, right? Now, I'm going to give us this bonus just to end this, right? Because I haven't said all of this. Achieving our goals, setting our goals, and all of this architecture we have shared, it's not just about one particular area of life. I call it harmony. So I call it harmonious goals, right? So it's just like the wheel of a car, right? So, we have our life wheel: career, finance, relationship, health, family, social, name it. So the kind of goals we are setting is such that it impacts on all areas of life in harmony. Lord, what are you saying about my this? What are you saying about this? You are mapping it out. What will he say? Right? And when he says it, you are building it up. And so God gives an opportunity that, come, let us reason together. He gives an opportunity that I speak to your spirit. You can also tell me what you want. It works in and through you to will of your good pleasure. right? So, it grants the desires of the righteous. So even if you have not had a particular emphatic word in your spirit, that's if you have asked. But have you asked? If you have asked and you have still not had, what is it that desire that God has put in your spirit? That's also a way for God speaking through to you, right? And so you are building your goals in harmony across these areas of life, and you're now taking actions in this direction such that we are not deficient, but we are holistically developed. We are holistically building up to our visions. We are not deficient in any area. Our marriage is sound. Our career is sound. All areas are sound, right? I'm going to end with this quote by Dennis Watley. He says, life is not a rehearsal. It's not a virtual reality game. What you simulate is what you generate. How you speak is what you will seek. What you say is what determines your day, and what you visualize, you realize. The bottom line of this is that there's an urgency for us to fulfill the vision first that God has given to us. The goals are the milestones we need to invest in on that journey to fulfilling that God-given vision, right? And I just want to say thank you so much for your time. So we open the floor for Q&A. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That I was going to share this ebook. It's an ebook I think I put up 2 years ago called the Goal Setting Quickie, and how to get better results, set higher goals. It has some of the mindsets I've shared today. So I'm going to give us this opportunity to get this book at no cost. So what I'm just going to do to make it easier for us to get it is that once you're done sharing your feedback from this session, you will see the link to get the book, and you can just download it to your device. So I'm just going to put the link in the chat box, so you can also take a screenshot of this page so that you can see the link to share the feedback, bit.ly/feedback to Abraham. So I think the link is also in the chat right now. You see that link. So once you're done sharing your feedback, you will see the link to get the book.
You have gained insights and strategies to live life purposefully. Now is the time to take actions in the direction of your learnings. For more products, bookings, and inquiries, please visit www.abrahamowoseni.com.